Hello and welcome to Rajya Sabha Television. You're watching The Big Picture with me, Frank Rausan Pereira. Former Pakistan President Pervez Musharraf on Wednesday claimed the Jaish-e-Mohammed was a terror outfit, but indicated that his country's intelligence had used it to carry out attacks in India during his tenure. Making the disclosure in a telephonic interview to Pakistani journalist Nadeem Malik of Hum News in his talk show, Pervez Musharraf also welcomed the action against the Jaish-e-Mohammed, saying it had tried to assassinate him twice in December 2003, as per a video clip shared on the journalist's Facebook and Twitter page. Asked why he had not taken action against the organization during his stint in power, he claimed those times were different. Meanwhile, amid global scrutiny on the activities of Jaish-e-Mohammed after it claimed responsibility for the Pulwama terror attack, and with China announcing its vice foreign minister's arrival in Islamabad to discuss India-Pak tensions, the Pakistan Army spokesperson on Wednesday claimed that the JEM does not exist in his country. The Pakistan Army also claimed that the JEM's claim of responsibility for the Pulwama attack had not been made from inside Pakistan, and India's claims on the airstrikes in Balakot are false. On this edition of The Big Picture, we will analyze if Pakistan uses terror as a state policy. Joining me on the program today are Vishnu Prakash, former ambassador, Major General Dhruv C. Katoch, retired Director, India Foundation, and Major General Ashwani Kumar Siwach, retired Foreign Affairs expert. Thank you to all my guests for joining me on this edition of The Big Picture. General Katoch, I'd like to begin the program with you. Let's look at this particular issue and pick up two issues. One, of course, the statement by the army spokesperson, and the second one, of course, being the statement by the former president, Pervez Musharraf. Let's concentrate on Pervez Musharraf's statement first. What do you make of what he has said about the JEM?
No, this is not the first time that Pervez Musharraf has made that statement. And the thing was that when the attempt was made to assassinate him, he was pretty annoyed at that time, and they went after this particular organization. But we must also understand that this organization, it is a creature of the Pakistan Army itself. It is a creature of the ISI. So it is something which they have created and which they have been using as their strategic assets. At some point of time, they fell out with the army and they wanted to hit out at the president at that time, at Pervez Musharraf himself. And that really didn't work out for them. Ever since, they have continued to use organizations like the JEM or the Lashkar-e-Taiba, and there are certain other organizations, as their strategic assets to be used against India in Pakistan. So they are nurtured by the ISI, they are trained by the ISI, they are equipped by the ISI, and then it is the Pakistan Army which helps them to infiltrate inside India and cause mayhem. And the surprising thing is that even when they are in India, the targets are controlled by the ISI. So there is a very great amount of synergy which exists between these organizations and the ISI, which actually makes the two indistinguishable. So I have for long believed that these organizations, these terror organizations, are virtually a part of the terror mechanisms of Pakistan, and they have got three such groups. One is the groups which act against India, which are nurtured and supported by the Pakistan Army. The second are the groups which act against Afghanistan, which are again nurtured and supported by the Pakistan Army. And the third is the Pakistani Taliban, the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, TTP, which actually is a different organization which targets the Pakistan military. And this is the only group which the Pakistan Army is fighting against as of now.
Right. Ambassador Vishnu Prakash, the statement by Pervez Musharraf, is it a political statement at this point in time, or why is he speaking up about the Jaish-e-Mohammed at this point in time and talking about how, it's a rabid organization and probably, something needs to be done?
Well, General Musharraf is an expert in speaking with the folk tongue. He is capable of saying anything, and depending on the situation, depending on the audience. I do recall that in 2006, when he was on a state visit to Washington, he stood at the White House, looked President Bush in the eye and said they had no idea where Osama bin Laden is. Let me take you back to 1999 on a different note, when the Kargil operation was happening. And there was a telephone conversation between him and his deputy, when the deputy assured Musharraf, when Musharraf at that time was visiting Beijing, saying कि इनकी टूटी हमारे हाथ में है, हम जब मर्जी घुमा देंगे. Otherwise, they hold the terrorists by the nape of their neck. And, you know, it's like controlling a faucet, because this faucet has been created by the deep state and the army, and they regulate it. So for a minute, and Mr. Musharraf is a gentleman who after the bus yatra by Mr. Vajpayee, Prime Minister Vajpayee, kind of scuttled the whole process. He scuttled 2001 Agra summit. And it is nothing but a good cop, bad cop kind of a thing, because he was the all-powerful chief, president and de facto head of the armed forces. And I refuse to buy it that Jaish could have continued its activities without at least the understanding or the establishment turning a Nelson's eye. So at the moment, Mr. Musharraf is literally a persona non grata in the Pakistani system. And also there is a consistency of what Pakistani leaders do when they are in power and when they are not in power. I mean, I don't have to name them, but whether it's Benazir Bhutto or Nawaz Sharif. So that has been a common thread. But long and short of it is that this is one country which has compulsive hostility towards India, and will do everything that it takes to continue with these misadventures, machinations, and unless their feet are held to the feet, and for their feet are held to the fire. And for that, let's be very clear that the terrorists are a cannon fodder. We can keep on killing them, they'll keep on producing them. So unless the heat is felt by the army, the military, things will not change in a hurry. And for that, we need to take along the international community and impose a series of sanctions on them. That's a different subject, but we have to, and secondly, we have to start the preparations to declare Pakistan a terror state, for which again, we'll have to take the international community along with us.
Right. General Siwach, you know, when Pervez Musharraf talks about how that was a different time when, you know, the JEM was an organization that was not listening to the establishment, and even assassination attempts were made, you know, to take him out. So why was that time different? I mean, why couldn't action have been taken then?
Frank, it looks very strange what he's telling, but there is no deny the fact. Whether it is Lashkar-e-Toba or Jaish-e-Mohammed, both have been propped up by ISI and Deep State. They are the one which are equipping them, aiding them, abating them, training them and sending it to India. This is a very strange, because Jaish-e-Mohammed has fallen apart as far as Pakistan army was concerned for some time, and that is how they targeted Musharraf. And Musharraf has banned that time, and Musharraf was after, you know, Jaish-e-Mohammed. But using that time also for Jaish-e-Mohammed, possibly not. For some time, there was a break on the activity of Jaish-e-Mohammed. Jaish-e-Mohammed was not a good child of ISI at that point of time. But it did not take much time. Thereafter, again, Jaish-e-Mohammed came into good books and started being used by Pakistan as a strategic asset. Because Lashkar-e-Toba and Jaish-e-Mohammed are strategic asset of Pakistan against India. Now, the point which is coming is there is a slightly change which is happening in Pakistan. What they are thinking is that they are now trying to prop up Jaish-e-Mohammed as a main terrorist group against India, and trying to bring Lashkar-e-Toba into a political fora. And that is how in this game plan, what they have done is they have mainstream Hafiz Saeed into the politics of the country. When Allahu Akbar Tariq, their political party was not being recognized by the election commission, they have fought the election on a dormant identity like Milli Muslim League. So they got about 14 to 15% vote also. So the point was, their aim was that as far as Hafiz Saeed and its Jamaat-ul-Dawa and Fulaite-e-Insaniyat Foundation, Lashkar-e-Toba is concerned, let them be more tilted toward the political side. The political vacuum should be filled by them, so that they are very close to the Pakistan army. And as far as the militant group is, main militant group was Jaish-e-Mohammed. And that is why you see it of late, Jaish-e-Mohammed is the one which is targeting the maximum as far as India is concerned.
So it's a two-pronged strategy is what you're suggesting.
Two-pronged strategy with very cleverly they are doing it. That may have fallen apart in the sense, was it correct on their part to have accepted Pulwama? Had Jaish-e-Mohammed not accepted Pulwama, it would have been a slightly difficult situation for India. It became much easier in international fora to tell an organization like Jaish-e-Mohammed has owned up themselves. So where is the question of Pakistan not accepting the writing on the wall? Now see what Pakistan is speaking. It's a double speak. That their Minister of External Affairs, Shah Mohammad Qureshi, has accepted it. That Masood Azhar is not well. He is in the hospital. Whereas the DG Inter-Service Public Relations, Major General Ghafoor, is saying that nothing called Jaish-e-Mohammed. So therefore, Pakistan is on a denial mode. Pakistan is a rogue state. Pakistan believes in using terrorism as a state instrument and against India, against Afghanistan, and recently they have started against Iran.
Iran as well.
Because those Sunni militant groups which have targeted the Shia population of Iran, they have said we will strike back on Pakistan.
Right.
So therefore the point is, as on today, Pakistan remain isolated in the world because they are aiding and abetting terrorism in India with Lashkar-e-Toba and Jaish-e-Mohammed, mainly by Jaish-e-Mohammed of recently. And as far as Afghanistan is concerned, Taliban and Haqqani group, and now the new chapter has been opened by them that they have started striking on the Shia population of Iran by the Sunni militant groups.
Right. Right. We'll talk about, a three-front strategy as well later on in the program. But before that, a point that the General raised and I wanted to speak about as well, General Katoch, is this flip-flop really as far as the Jaish-e-Mohammed is concerned. The Foreign Minister says, yes, the head of the organization or the terror group is ailing and he is in Pakistan, whereas the Pakistani army spokesperson says it does not exist. I mean, what's happening there?
No, I think as far as Pakistan is concerned, I think what they are trying to do now to avoid pressure from the world, I think they are going into a straight denial. Okay, if this is the problem doesn't exist. It's like a stork putting its head down into the sand. But you see, the problem does exist. It is not a question of what the Pakistani spokesman says. The whole world knows that Jaish-e-Mohammed is there. Right? Their own cadre, post the Balakot bombing, the people who are being trained in that madrasa, they have been shifted. Now, those first-hand accounts are available where people have said, okay, this blast took place, the Pakistani army came, they have shifted us out into these safe houses. So everybody knows that the organization is there and it has very strong roots. Now, what they're trying to show is that they are, I think, within three months, you will have the FATF sanctions coming up again. Will Pakistan be placed on the blacklist? If they come onto the blacklist, then obviously they are in very deep trouble because they desperately need money. They also need financial assistance from other sources. Will they get that? Will they get that financial assistance? Now they have to convince the world that we don't have the Jaish, and I really don't know how they're going to do it because the international community is composed of people who are reasonably intelligent. You see, I mean, you just cannot pull the wool over their eyes and say, listen, I'm saying there is no Jaish, so we don't have to take any action. It doesn't work that way. There is an organization, it has been created by them, and I think they're really not in a position to take action against them.
Right.
If you see that if they have got 15% of the vote share, which is a reasonably strong vote share, and most of those people are very supportive of these chaps with the guns, I think what Pakistan is really facing is that if they really get after the Jaish and the Lashkar-e-Taiba, and if those people resort to arms against the Pakistani state, then I do not think the Pakistani military has the capacity or the capability to handle it. With very great difficulty, they are handling the situation in Fatah. Right. I don't think they have the capacity to take on another front, this time in their heartland in Punjab.
Sure.
I think that must be the concern which is really putting them onto the back foot. They are not in a position to take action because they may suffer the repercussions of their actions. So what will they do? They simply deny its existence, right? Tell these chaps to lie low, keep them under guard or under cover for a few months, let the situation tide away, and then see how, and then take it forward from there.
Ambassador, is an attempt being made by the Pakistani deep state to hoodwink the international community? And how is the international community going to look at all of this?
Well, it's just another example of Pakistani perfidy, and it is business as usual. I think their mask is off. Few things that have happened in my view is, one, that once again it has been demonstrated that the civilian government is a facade, is just a mask for the army, and the de facto power vests with the army. Where in the world can you have a situation where the foreign minister first admits that Jaish is present in the country, Masood Azhar is present in the country, then even lets slip or says in another interview that they are in touch with Jaish, and in 2002 they supposedly would have banned it. So obviously it's a ghost which never existed, but Pakistan banned it. And Jaish, by the way, is reported to have something like 25, Jaish and its affiliates are supposed to have something like 2,500 offices and 11 madrasas in Pakistan. So obviously they don't exist as far as the army is concerned, but the world knows that they exist. Jaish has been at it for decades. So the long and short of it is that here is a country which has created and literally legions of terrorists, legions of extremists, also it is very well known that at least half of the major terror incidents that happen in the world have a Pakistani DNA. They may have been radicalized in Pakistan, they may have been trained in Pakistan. Now this country is effectively today a state sponsor of terrorism, and the repercussions are there for everybody to see. It has become a narco state, it's flush with guns, it's a failing state, and it's an impoverished state. But the armed forces are a law unto themselves. So that's the reality. I think world, not just India. India certainly, because we are the neighbors, we face the brunt, but this is a challenge to the world. And even the US has tasted the Pakistani medicine, because they have suffered the consequences of using Pakistan as a frontline state. So that we are at an inflection point, the world is at an inflection point. It would all depend on how realistic the world gets, how realistic everybody gets. But it's a long haul, it's a long challenge, and we have to deal with it heads on, because this country is in denial and will continue to use terror so long as the cost becomes untenable.
Right. So Pakistan is going to continue to use terror as a state policy, is what the ambassador is suggesting. General Siwach, what should India's option be then to deal with this problem?
Frank, our options, we have shown this option there when after 2016. What we did is, we have said that there will be any strike taking place from Pakistan, there will be cost attached to it. We will retaliate, and we are not going to see it a business as usual. So therefore, the surgical strike number 1, which we have gone, has shown that it is not a business as usual. We are going to come and hit you where it hurts. Now, as far as the surgical strike number 2 in Balakot is concerned, it has gone a further away, that we are not going to only restrict ourselves to Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. If the terrorism is emanating from any part of Pakistan and it is threatening India, we are going to strike you there. Now, remember what has happened in Balakot. Very cleverly, a target was selected by the Indian government, because that first it was not in POK. Second thing is, this was the time when the training was going on. Third thing was thinking that there will be a strike, there may be a strike in POK. So they have shifted certain terrorists in Balakot, including certain leaders. So therefore, we have crossed over and gone to Pakistan, not on Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, but in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and given them a message that there is a cost attached to it, there is a retaliation attached to it. We are not going to accept the terrorism which is emanating from Pakistan lyingly. We are no more a soft state. Now, that threat in Pakistan mind is a big threat. The world now sees us as a change India, that we are going to hit them. And now next, you see, Hafiz Saeed, and also Masood Azhar. These people are worried. I don't know when India will come and hit them. So they need a protection. So there is a total change in the perception as far as the nation is concerned. We are not going to taking a dogo. We are going to strike you where it hurts you. And there is a cost attached for anything which Pakistan will do now. So I'm sure Pakistan will think 10 times before doing any action like the one which they did in Pulwama, if they understand our language very well.
Right. Ambassador, I know you have to be elsewhere, but before I let you go, a quick reaction from you on what's the best way forward really as far as India is concerned?
Well, we have been using, but we have to double down in using a suite of measures. We have to use every arrow in our quiver to neutralize the misadventure and machinations of Pakistan, while retaining the initiative. You know, one very important thing is that we cannot allow them to set the agenda and we cannot be reactive. We have to maintain the element of surprise. So in the measures that we have to take and we are taking will be diplomatic, will be political, will be economic and will be military. Diplomatic and military measures are not exclusive. Any country's diplomacy is as strong as its military. So, but you talk softly and so long as you carry a big stick. But as important, Frank, in today's time and age, we have to take the international community along, because whatever we say, Pakistan is a major state, it's a country, it's a nuclear armed state, it's a country of more than 200 million people. And again, to be frank, it is very difficult to isolate Pakistan, because all countries, other countries will have their own considerations to engage with Pakistan. But today, as I see it, from there is a fatigue, rather revulsion against use of terror, whatever be the reason. And Pakistan has been at it too long. So let us be clear about the enormity of task at hand. But I think that today's India has the will, the determination, and the geopolitical equations are changing, and we are up to the task. At the UN Security Council already a bill has been resolution has been proposed to declare Masood Azhar as an international terrorist. But we have, the important thing would be eventually to have Pakistan declared it as a terror state, for which we will have to use all possibilities, all measures to make that happen.
All right, Ambassador Vishnu Prakash, thank you so much for joining us on the program and sharing your views on the issue at hand. Let me continue the discussion now with the others. General Katoch, you know, as far as some of the other countries in the neighborhood, like General Siwach was pointing out, be it Iran, be it Afghanistan, seem to be suffering the same fate, really, as far as terror is concerned. So, can India, Afghanistan, and Iran probably come together at some point in time and try and deal with this particular problem?
Oh, I'm really not sure whether we can come together to deal with this problem per se. You see, Afghanistan is embroiled in its own civil war, and just yesterday we had a blast in which I think about 18 people lost their lives. And this has been a consistent factor as far as Afghanistan is concerned. So Afghanistan is fully committed in a civil war or in combating terrorism or insurgency, whichever term you would like to use it, which is inspired by the Afghan Taliban, which is supported by the Pakistani state, right? So they will do whatever they can, but to say that India and Afghanistan can cooperate on that issue, I really don't see much scope for cooperation, because each will have to operate independently.
What about Iran?
Now, with Iran, I think there is a great scope, and not on the military aspect, but I think what we need to do is to get the Chabahar system going, right? And get onto the trade route with Afghanistan, bypassing Pakistan. Now, the ambassador actually, gave forth those 4 specific steps. And I think those are the 4 steps which are very important. You see, military and diplomacy will, of course, go hand in hand. The foreign policy and the military policy will go hand in hand. But along with that are the economic measures. And the economic measures must also go hand in hand. Over and above the economic measures, let us also have the societal measures. You see that we need to tell India, the whole country, that listen, this is a terrorist state, this is a rogue state, it has to be boycotted. No films, no music, no social agenda, nothing. Because that is the only way you deal with a terror state. But more important than getting the international community on our side, as mentioned by the ambassador, which of course is an ongoing task, I think we need to get all political parties within India on board. Now, every time I see this, you see for a day or two, you will find the political parties coming together, speaking in one voice, and then back we come to the electioneering mood. Now, in national security concerns, it is my view that there can be no two opinions in any political party. There has to be one national security view. And that national security view has to be propounded by all the political parties. We can't have bickering on this.
Right.
It is specifically because we are bickering on this that is giving strength to the enemy. It is very disheartening to see on Pakistan television, all television channels saying there are 21 political parties which are supporting our cause, 21 political parties in India which are supporting the Pakistani cause. Now, that doesn't do any good to the Indian populace. It raises the morale of the Pakistan state. It raises the morale of their people. It acts as a demotivator as far as the Indian public is concerned, and it seeks to create further divisions within us. So I think we need to set our house in order as far as that is concerned.
Right.
And alongside that, I think our policy should be declaratory now as to what we wish to do in Kashmir and with Pakistan, and we need to sustain that for a long period of time. It isn't that you do something for a month and then you ease the pressure. If we want to go after the Hurriyat and other factions within Kashmir, then we should make it very clear that we will go right down to the last mile.
Yeah.
You see, progress it. It isn't that after some time we reduce the
You
pressure
retract.
and get there.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
Sure,
So
sure.
it should be, and we declare it, and that will give you much better dividends than what we are doing right now.
General Siwach, close the show for us with your concluding remarks.
See, what happened, Frank, now is the time come that we have to have a multi-pronged strategy. It is a political, it is a diplomatic, it is economic, and it is a military. Now, remember that diplomatically we are trying to isolate Pakistan. We have succeeded to some extent, but not to that extent, because there are countries of Muslim world which is still with it, and to some extent other countries will see their own interest when they are trying to squeeze the Pakistan. What is going to impact maximum is the economic impact. Now, what happened is Financial Action Task Force has already placed Pakistan in a grey list. The World Bank is not giving them loan. There are a number of restrictions which are imposed. Pakistan is in dire need of money. It is today having $6.2 billion as its foreign reserve. Its foreign reserve cannot even see 2 months of import. Its foreign reserves are less than even Afghanistan. So today, financially, it is today crippled. And in case Pakistan is still keep on grey or downgraded to blacklist by Financial Action Task Force for reason money laundering and terrorist funding, that will be the end of Pakistan. So economically, keep on putting pressure, show to the world that they are involved in terrorist financing. They are the one which are doing basically to Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Toba. All funds are coming through Hawala and also to the Hurriyat. And also what is happening in Kashmir. So this economically sustain it. So much that the Pakistan raises its hand. And third thing is, as far as military is concerned, tempo should not reduce. What has happened is, on whether it is a line of control, whether it is all-out operation in Kashmir Valley, they must go on with a full hold. And we must not now lose out our grip. We should now multi-pronged strategy and ensure that Pakistan then come to its knees. Diplomatically, I am just trying to convey is that as on today, we have managed to convince to some extent to China also. America has understood it, because America cannot be fooled, because they have paid $33 billion for 15 years.
Right.
And they were supporting the Taliban, the one which was fighting against them. So America, to some extent with us, it was Saudi Arabia, UAE has also come toward us. It is China which is only a spoke which is left. Because the taste of pudding is in eating, we will come to know what happened on 13th March.
Right.
When this is coming in Security Council to designate Masood Azhar as a global terrorist.
Absolutely.
Whether they use a veto power or not. Overall, a multi-pronged strategy on Pakistan, attach a course to anything happening, something like a Pulwama. It is not business as usual. Hit him where it hurts him, and always stick to your point.
All right, a multi-pronged approach is what we need to use, is what the panelists are suggesting: economic, political, and also, of course, diplomatic as well as military action. And only then can we see Pakistan change or mend its ways. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of The Big Picture. Thank you to all my guests for joining me on the program and putting things into perspective for us. That's it from me. See you again next time.